Sir, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Fine, sir. How are you, sir?
Fine, sir. Congratulations again. Nice to see you that you have taken over as the director of the institution.
Thank you,
I
sir.
really feel it is good for the institution that it is in your hands. I'm very sure that you will take it to great heights.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. How is your health, sir?
Health is fine, sir. Anyway,
Family-
our lockdown, so you have to be at home. So you have moved, sir. Family and all moved to
yes.
Visakhapatnam?
Yeah, fine, sir. Fine, sir. He is Dr. Naveen, sir.
Okay.
Naveen, he is Dr. B.S. Madhukar. He is one of the senior member in NAC, and he is a well-renowned person in the entire country with regard to the NAC process and accreditation procedures. Where is Dr. Surya Narayana?
Sir, also I informed, sir.
You just ask him to join.
Okay, sir.
Sir, just
Yes.
give me 10 minutes, sir. Our members will join, sir, please.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No issues. Let
Yes,
them
sir.
join.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Sir, meeting start అయిపోయింది.
On board. We are very much fortunate to have Dr. B.S. Madhukar on board for this webinar. Thank you very much, sir, for accepting our kind invitation. And really, we are very happy. I think I met you long back. I think after a long gap, I'm catching you. So I think I don't want to take the time between you and the participants. I think I request Dr. Surya Narayana to have a couple of minutes to give the institutional profile so that you will have an understanding on the institute as well as the level at which our faculty members are there, so that you can orient your presentation, Dr. Madhukar sir. With this brief note, once again, I would like to extend a warm welcome on behalf of the management as well as the institute for accepting our invitation. With this, I'm just signing off. I request Dr. Surya Narayana to give a brief profile of the institute so that you'll have a better understanding to orient your talk for next 45 minutes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So today I feel blessed to say something about our college in presence of a giant personality, Madhukar sir. So after listening to his profile, we are nothing in front of him. And I thank our director sir for inviting such a giant personality to our college for a webinar. So just as IQAC coordinator of college, I feel privileged to introduce something about our college. So our college was established in the year 2008 by Sri Veeravenkata Satyanarayana Education Society. And in the same year 2008, they started this college, NSRIT. Initially, its name was VITS, Visakhapatnam Technology and Science. Later, they have changed the name to NSRIT. So present, Sri N. Satyanarayana Raj Garu is the president of the society and the chairman of the college. And he is backed by his two illustrated sons, Dr. N. Prasad Raj Garu, who is a doctorate in mechanical engineering, and Sri Kanakaraj Garu, he is a postgraduate in commerce. So under the leadership of our chairman, sir, these two secretary and treasurer, sir, they are following the roadmap given by the chairman, sir, and they are succeeding in each and every attempt. So just I am giving the brief history and progress of our institute right from 2008. So in 2008, they established the college with the vision of promoting societal empowerment and to become a leading institute in the area of engineering education and research, an institute of excellence in the field of these two. So they have started this college in 2008 with an initial intake of 240 with 4 BTech programs. And the next year in 2009, they have introduced BTech in mechanical engineering and post-graduation in MBA. In the year 2012, a college has introduced diploma programs in mechanical engineering and electrical electronics engineering. In the year 2014, we started civil engineering and we introduced MTech in thermal engineering as well as MTech in power systems control and automation. And in the year 2014 itself, we got accreditation by ISO 9001-2008. Now, we are awarded Grade A by the Andhra Pradesh Knowledge Commission for maintaining quality standards in our college. In the year 2017, we got recognized, our college society got recognition and 2 years. And in the same year, in the month of September, our college got NAAC accreditation with A with a score of 3.10 over 4. So we are very proud to say that the first statement itself we got A. Next. Again, in 2019, we got 3 ISO certificates, ISO 9001-2015, ISO 14001-2015, and ISO 45001-2018. Next, in the year 2019, our affiliating university, JNT Kakinada, has given us permanent affiliation status. And in the year 2020, we have applied for autonomous status. And on 11th November, UGC has granted us the autonomous status for a period of 10 years from 2020 to 2030. In the year 2020, we got 12B UGC 12B recognition from UGC under proceedings of 1956, Act 1956. Now, recently in 2020, basing on the demand in the field of computer science, we have introduced 2 new courses in CSE. CSE Computer Science Engineering with Data Science and Computer Science Engineering with Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning as specialization, sir. Now, concentrate on the highlights of our college. So one of our students, Mr. G. Sarath Chandra of Mechanical Engineering branch, awarded gold medal by the affiliating university for scoring highest percentage among the students of all affiliate colleges of JNTUK in the year 2018-19. Next, we are accorded accreditation, AAA accreditation by Careers 360 National Magazine, and we are accorded accreditation by Careers Connect also. Next, to develop the students in all directions for the holistic development, we have introduced so many clubs also, literature club, sports club, and so everything. And our management is always striving to improve the quality of the college. So they are continuously striving to bring good faculty, doctorates from all the fields. So in that process only, recently they have inducted Gurudas, director, and Professor M.A. Kadar Baba as principal, and senior professors in all the departments. So recently, as an initiative of IQAC, our director sir and the management have started a new cell called Center for Academic Excellence. And under the banner of this Center of Academic Excellence, we are organizing so many webinars, and today is such webinar only. And we are very fortunate to have a giant personality, Madhukar sir, for this webinar. And I thank the management, director sir, principal sir, and all other organizers for inviting him. And thank everyone for giving me this opportunity to tell something about our college and about IPSC. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Sir, Madhukar sir, now you can take up, sir.
Dr. J. Raja Murugadas, the director of the institution, Dr. Kadir Baba, the principal, Dr. Surya Narayan, the director IQAC, director Center for Academic Excellence, Dr. Naveen, who read my CV. I thank you all. In fact, before I start my presentation, I want to share with you my association with Dr. Raja Murugadas. See, in fact, you should realize that your director, whom I feel you are very lucky to get him here, in fact, he is a kind of a person who has passion for quality. You know, we are part of a group called Friends for Quality. It's a WhatsApp group where we are about 20-25 members from across India for one single purpose, that we should promote quality in all activities which we relate to. Not only in education, any other quality we relate to. We have in fact members from industry, from other bodies, from academics, etc. And in fact, the person who started the group was Professor Colonel Kasatwar. Ramesh Kasatwar. In fact, unfortunately, we lost him due to COVID, and it was under the military background that we formed this group. So it was very fruitful, and through that association, I know you were director for a long time. I have great respects and regards for him. And other than that, I'm very happy to associate with your institution, which is located in Visakhapatnam. In fact, I have visited JNTU at Kakinada long back. And also, I generally remember, I used to come every year to Visakhapatnam. I forgot the name of the college, engineering college I used to come. And I remember seeing that submarine every time I come on your shores, which is there, that submarine which I visit. Nice place. Nice place. Visakhapatnam is a nice place, but anyway, as bad as other cities, as far as traffic is concerned, which is another issue which all of us have to tackle. Like I don't find difference between Bangalore or Visakhapatnam or Nagpur. Everything is as bad as far as traffic is concerned. Anyway, your walk on the shore, etc. I like it. So now I want to tell you why we started, why we took this issue. The topic of this seminar is functioning of IQAC. When we started back about 20-25 years back, there were two aspects we wanted to promote in NAC, almost 25 years back. Two. One is assessment and accreditation per se, and the next point was internal quality assurance. While all of you are aware that internal assessment and accreditation per se went on well, it did catch up well compared to IQAC. In fact, NAC has assessed institutions in almost all the states and union territories of the country, and also drawn peer team members from all these places. So it is an organization known nationally. Initially, there was a lot of resistance to this process, but now everybody is interested to get accreditation. Moreover, it is a national requirement. It is legally also required that you get accreditation. Now, I understand from the conversation I had with the director yesterday and other 2 days back, that you are also due for next accreditation in another year. So another year, I understand, is another year. So I think things are changing. At the same time, you need to be preparing. The only thing you shouldn't do is get into an accreditation mode last 1 month or 3 months before an accreditation cycle. That is the disaster point. And I appreciate the director and all of you that you thought about it now. Since you are still a year away, you thought about it. And One platform that helps in doing this is the internal quality assurance cell platform. See, but I want to stress here, it is not the main function of IQAC is not just getting the institution accredited. It is about quality, continuous quality improvement. That is the function of an IQAC. The main function of IQAC is to see that the institution, quality of the institutions improves continuously. It is about continuous quality improvement. So your frame of reference, even though you want to get a good NAAC grade, already I've got a good grade of A, you have to maintain that grade and grow. It is not just you have to retain that grade, you have to grow more also. And the situation now was the methodology has changed from what you had done earlier. So there's a change in methodology. In fact, I'm not going to dwell on the accreditation process per se at this point in time. Here I'm largely talking about the internal quality assurance cell mechanisms and what all you can do as an internal quality assurance cell. Maybe 2 months or 3 months down the line, we can really have another seminar on approach to the NAAC accreditation process. Now let me start my presentation now. And I'll share the screen. Kindly let me know once it is visible.
Sir, I have made as a co-host browser.
Visible.
Is it visible?
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
Visible?
Visible, sir.
Thank you very much. So I welcome you to this webinar on functioning of IQAC. And it is about slightly about.
Browser, you can put it on presentation mode.
I've already put it.
Yes, sir.
It's on presentation
Fine.
mode. Is it okay? It's full screen?
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Only thing is I have to move this this icons a little that side. It really creates a problem. Anyway, sometimes it is very difficult to move this screen.
It's okay, sir. Please continue.
Now I have moved it. Okay. So welcome to this webinar. And I have about few slides in this. Then I do feel if it is possible, with the permission of the director and the principal, we can also have an interaction. Because seminars, webinars can be done, but what we share with ourselves is more important. Here also I mentioned that what I'm trying to say here is sharing of information. It is not that something I have created for myself, etc. I want to share what I have learned in the field so far. Now let me make I will show you few slides in which quotations or observations from senior people in the industry, etc. I have quoted her. It in itself gives a direction of what is the thinking in the world. It itself gives a direction for all of us. So let me show you few important quotes which I have selected, keeping in mind the purpose of this seminar. See, investing in education and providing 21st century skills for students are fundamental components to nation's continued growth and prosperity. Nobody can disagree with this. It was said by Craig Barrett, the former chairman Intel Group. So Intel, you know, as engineering colleges, you know about Intel, etc. And I don't need to go further into it. So see, the point is he's saying 21st century skills for students. See, understand the word skill. So we have to not only see that the students pass the examination, but also when they go out of your institution, they should be with certain skills. They should have developed certain skills which is employee friendly. Otherwise, your institutions may not stand a chance to compete in the market. Now you think the next one by John Chambers, he said, if you don't innovate fast, disrupt your industry, disrupt yourself, you will be left behind. We know the example, many of us know the example of Kodak. It was one of the biggest photo company in the world. And you see, once the digitization happened and they never innovated, the whole company Kodak had to close down. There was no, at least 10-15 years back, without a photo film, there was nothing like photo. Now you think about it, the whole system has changed, and the whole a company which has 100 years of existence collapsed. That is what it says. If you don't innovate fast, disrupt your industry, disrupt yourself, you will be left behind. I am more interested in the word disrupt yourself here. Somehow we are all into a kind of a comfort zone. We are operating in a comfort zone till now. We have to disrupt ourselves. Forget about disrupting the institution. Unless we disrupt ourselves, it is very difficult for us to survive or at least be of use to others. Be of use to your students. Now this is from His Holiness the Dalai Lama. But he has given a twist to this. He says modern education is highly developed, but it is not sufficient by itself to reduce violence and bring about peace. What I believe can help is if we incorporate into modern education the ancient Indian understanding of the working of the mind and emotions. We also need a sense of emotional hygiene. He has given a larger twist to this. The other two spoke about disruption, changes in the 21st century, etc. But His Holiness the Dalai Lama has given a bigger understanding for education. He has said, yes, modern education is good, but he also talks about emotional hygiene, which is very important for any institutions to survive and grow. For good citizenship, emotional hygiene is important. Now, this was said by Charge Duell, the Commissioner of UN Patent Office in 1899. Now, if he was alive, I don't know what he could have told, what he could have expressed himself as. See, he thought this in 1899, and in our situation now, every 2-3 years, the amount of knowledge we have doubles. Amount of knowledge, 2-3 years, it is doubling. And the technology, you all know as engineering college, you know the rapid changes in technology that's happening. So we have to keep our mind open and believe that things are going to change and going to change fast. And it is for us to catch up. We cannot be a follower. We have to go in tune with the changes. We cannot afford to be a late follower. Or let all others run, then I will see and run. That may not be possible. You have to co-run. As things change, you may have to co-run. Now, this is a bridge is across the Choluteca River in Honduras. Honduras is a place known for, maybe this was also circulated in the WhatsApp long back, and I have taken it from that. And anyway, the pictures, etc., I downloaded from the web and added it. See, Honduras is a place known for very high hurricane levels. Hurricanes are very strong here, and they disrupt the country whenever it occurs. And they had situations where their bridges, etc., had fallen and they needed to reconstruct, etc. So what they did is they invited the Japanese to construct a strong bridge, all-purpose, all seasons bridge, so that the hurricanes cannot really bring it down or disrupt it. So this bridge was built. The one that is shown in the figure was built. And see later what happened. So after some time, what happened? The bridge is there, but the river changed its course. This was not anticipated. The river changed the course, and the bridge became a bridge to nowhere. You can see that in this figure, how the river has changed the course. Now, in our present situation, the river has not only changed its course, it has also gone into too many tributaries. The river has not changed the course in one big segment or in one course. It has got disrupted into many courses. Many tributaries it has taken. You see the pandemic, the situation, the pandemic, the technology, the national education policy. So, yeah, so many things are coming together at one point. In fact, the pandemic has changed our life. And what things that has brought into fore? What is that the pandemic has taught us? The pandemic has taught us one thing: how to handle uncertainty. We are not sure about the uncertainty. We don't know how education system will be 5 years from now. What are going to be the disruptions? You are getting students from your catchment area of Visakhapatnam. Can they still be your students? Or will they go somewhere for an online course? Being in Visakhapatnam, they had maybe locational limitations of going somewhere, joined your institution. Tomorrow they may not join. They may take an online course through through a university, say maybe in Mizoram or even outside the country. So, and even you must also know that Academic Credit Bank of Credit is being planned by UGC, which is going to give a lot of flexibility for the students. So your catchment, your basic student, from where you are going to get your students, may change again, and you have to rework on rework the institution's profile so that you are attractive as students. You have to make it more and more student friendly to attract the students. Now, what are the changing contexts? I'll just put two of them. One is the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. They want to all institutions by 2030. That is the Sustainable Development Goal. Maybe most of you are aware of it. The pandemic has spoken about it. The last 1 year, we are not able to see our students. Earlier, Zoom was just a car for most of us. Now Zoom is something which is part of our everyday life. Then NEP 2020, the National Education Policy. I'm sure most of you could have gone through it. It talks about autonomy. Anyway, your institution is autonomous. That is good. But you have to really use your autonomy to run this race. Leverage the autonomy further to run this race. So you have to be in the education sector as one of the premium institutions in the country. You have to rework all your priorities. Rework your priorities. Then technology, as I said, many technology changes. And since you are an engineering institution, I just don't want to get into that area. Technology is important. Technology changes are important. But believe in one thing, it is not just about technology. You can build a great aircraft people friendly, cannot be technology friendly, because you can build a huge aircraft, but without passengers, that aircraft will not be of use. So technology is one part, but integrating technology into your day-to-day learning processes is a challenge. You cannot just do it. It needs a lot of thought, lot of understanding, and lot of preparation. Then gig economy, you know about it. Teachers or faculty, you may not have the same job in your life, same single job like we are used to. I was in NAC for 20 years. Those kind of situation may not exist anymore. I may have to be the students of these days. They may have to do with multiple jobs. Maybe morning they could be teaching, maybe evening they could be running a restaurant, or maybe developing some software program. That is what is about gig economy. Many of you know what gig economy means. No permanency of job. You have to keep learning. Said one of the interactions with one of the HR leading industry, when he was talking to me, he was saying the new job is acronym for the jobs are what is called as VOCA. V-O-K-A. VOCA. V means, O means opportunistic, K means knowledge based, and A means ambiguous. Your jobs are going to be ambiguous. There is not going to be clearly defined jobs. In management, if you are, you know that job description, that this, you could be familiar about it. But your job descriptions may be ambiguous. It may not be very clear. In one, you may be a group leader. In another project, you could be doing the data entry, or you could be making data entries, or you could be doing something else, research, etc. So even the nature of job is going to be different, but different nature doesn't mean you do it in different points in time. You may be doing it in a continuous basis. Next, what are the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals? None can refute it. No poverty, zero hunger, quality education, gender equality, climate change. See, reduced inequalities, etc. These are the sustainable goals. 17 goals are there. You can have a look at it more, and I think you should have this as a frame of reference in your institution. What are the agenda of the United Nations? 2030. These goals are applicable to all human beings, and your institution also should look at it, and your students also should be, in fact, given an idea about what we are talking about in this world. What is that the world United Nations directions that have been given for the next few years to follow. So these are important aspects, that is sustainable development goals are important. Now, you can take this with a pinch of salt, but there is some truth in this slide. The current scenario in our higher education, one reason for poor employability of our graduates, including engineers, is the teacher-centric and exam-oriented teaching learning process adopted in our system. Will it change immediately? I am not sure. But NEP proposes certain changes to come out of this mode of operations. So NEP says that you have to be, examination systems needs to be different. Teacher-centric to learn, student-centric. Teacher-centric to student-centric doesn't mean teacher has no role. It is teachers who are going to make it student-centric. It is not teacher-centric versus student-centric. The teacher-centric has to move his teaching to student-centric. So I will just talk about it a little later in the presentation, but you can keep this in mind. So this is one or two quotations which I have just put it here. One is 21st century kids are being taught by 20th century adults using 19th century curriculum and techniques of an 18th century calendar. It may not be a reflection of the actual truth, but somewhere near we are got stuck in this kind of a bottleneck. Then if we teach today as we taught yesterday, we will rob our youth of their tomorrow. Very important observations being made by two educational consultants, which you can keep in mind. And when you work for changes in your institution, you can reflect on these observations and change things accordingly. This is a nice kind of a story I have picked up, a small story or an adage you can talk of. And you read that. You read it. Self-reading is good, but anyway, I will read it for you. I have heard a woman bought a tin of fruit, but she could not open the tin. She did not know how to open it. So she rushed to her study to look in a cookbook. By the time she looked in the book and found the page and reference and came rushing back ready to open the tin, The servant had already opened it. She asked, but how did you do it? The servant said, Madam, when you read, you have to use your mind. Very important observation. See, this is what the issue of skill comes in. It is not just about the academics. You have to be equipped with skills. This particular write-up clearly gives an input or a reflective idea to all of it. Skill is equally important. It is not the degree you come out with, the extras with the degree. What is that learning experience in this institution? And what is that learning experience you give to a students in the 5 years, in the 4.5 years or 5 years of his stay? It is not just the degree. The add-ons, the pluses you give to a student will make the difference to your institution. That is what is going to attract students to your institution, not that pass. Now the system of getting a degree itself may change. Tomorrow when you become autonomous, since already you are autonomous, now your degree is going to be granted by Kakinada, but there may be a time in the next 10 years, they may say you yourself will have to issue your degree. Then the credibility of the degree comes into picture. Unless your institution is grown very well nationally, internationally. Like somebody said, IIT Roorkee or something else. You know, Visakhapatnam, the people will recognize some institution as best among the given set of institutions. All engineering colleges may be affiliated to JNTU, but still there is an understanding, a general understanding among the people of Visakhapatnam or Bangalore or Mumbai, whatever, that given the similar circumstances, one engineering institution or one institution is better than the other. Given the same circumstances, why is one institution better than the other? Because they are managing their resources well. What is the simple reason that one could be better than the other? Given the similar circumstances, the managing of resources, whether human resources, financial resources, etc., is better than it is in the other institution. That is what makes the difference. And contrasting work, what is in the education system and what is in the work. Higher education produces a graduate who is curriculum driven. Workplace, on the other hand, requires a graduate to be competent at problem-based learning. You working towards present educational objective, able to apply lateral or critical thinking process to problem solving. And introverted and isolated in study habits. He sits studies for long, but possessing highly developed interpersonal skills. So the skill angle, interpersonal communication skills, interpersonal skills, project skills, team skills, these are the skills which need to be taught to him. And this is a contrast between the requirement of the higher education institution and the requirement in the field. The contradictions or the contrast, I couldn't say contradiction, the contrast has been displayed in this slide. Next, what are the skills that a undergraduate student should acquire before he goes out of the institution apart from your degrees? Knowing what one doesn't know and how to seek information. This is very important. This is the skill. Able to think that, to reason inductively and deductively, to analyze and to synthesize, to think through moral and ethical issues, to construct a logical argument with appropriate evidence. Even if you talk about NAAC process, the new NAAC process. What is the new NAAC process? The new NAAC process is basically for every claim you make. You say I have 100 students, I have 100 faculty members, out of which 50 are PhD. What is that it has? It says provide evidence. Appropriate evidence. Provide appropriate evidence. So the whole NAAC process is data-based and evidence-based. For any claim you make, you say I have 10 classrooms, they say give geotag photograph. Again, evidence. If you do some functions, from the one you take it as a tip for NAAC, you start doing any functions, etc. Please see that the photograph, you take the photograph, geotag the photographs you take and maintain records. And also all these seminars, webinars you do, kindly keep a record of all this through your Google Calendar or whatever, number of participants, etc. Keep a record, because when NAAC has to take a call on how it is going to evaluate the institution for the pandemic period, where you never had a face-to-face teaching learning process, etc. They may look at all these issues about webinars conducted. So you kindly create appropriate evidences of all these things which you are doing. Even though I'm in case if there's another seminar on approach to NAAC process, I will be talking about that in detail. But since the here the issue of evidence came in, I thought I should share the NAAC issue also with you. Be able to communicate clearly, substantiatively, and persuasively, both orally and writing. See, one thing I have seen students from across India, from different parts of the country. See, even sometimes I do feel there are students who are very good inside. They know a lot. They have a lot of knowledge, understanding of the subject, etc. But they are not able to communicate clearly and they lose out. But the students who are not as good, but communicate clearly and persuasively, they stand to gain because they exhibit a kind of confidence. So communication, you need to put a lot of effort on communication skills, because it becomes a difference between the winner and also ran. The also ran may be equally good, but the winner, that last moment when you put your head, when you cross the line, whereas the other wanted to just test the breast. So that is the difference. So communication gives you that edge, which even your knowledge will not give, which even in spite of your knowledge, you may not be able to get it. So knowing how to authenticate information, fake news. That to be very clear on how to authenticate information, very important. Otherwise, you may get a lot of fake news, whether it comes from print source or new technologies. Authentication of information, be able to collaborate with others, etc. Understanding method of scientific study, that is scientifically literate. Very important slide. This is what you have to teach your students when they go out of your institution. They will be able to do these things. It's a challenge. They are there for 4 years. You have to complete your syllabus. You have to see that they pass well. They get a good rating, good class, where first class or whatever, distinction, whatever. But what is that value addition you give them? These are the skills you give them. That's what I said. The example of the woman opening the tin. She's skill. And this is about teaching development courses. You have to learn when now the situation has changed. You have to learn new skills. Constructed teaching portfolio. The last one. Constructed teaching portfolio. How do you construct your teaching portfolio? You may have to do online teaching. You may have on online teaching itself. There are many ways of doing online teaching. You have to get that skills. There are many institutions now which are offering guidance for online teaching. In fact, I was attending a seminar of AIU, webinar of AIU. What they said, they are in understanding with some companies in UK. And this company in UK are going to help teachers, faculty members of institution to enhance their teaching skill in their subject area online. but you have to know this information. They charge some $20 per person for something like that. So for mechanical engineering, they may give you some skills. For electrical engineering, they may give you some online skills, how to deal depending on the subject area. But to know that somebody is offering, you need to have information collection in your system. Now, I tell you one thing, all your library functions needs to change. You should have a technology learning center. A nice one has already started Center for Academic Experience Excellence. Very good center you have started. I think you have to really define what this center's job should be. I don't know, maybe you have already defined it. I'm talking in a general sense. Clearly see that Center for your Academic Excellence should have a very wide focus. Very wide focus. And as a teacher, all of us are teachers in one way or the other. But as a teacher in an institution, there are two aspects to this. One is the administrative aspect, where from an associate professor, you become an assistant professor, from assistant to associate, from associate to professor, etc. That is the academic, that is the administrative line. Over the years, as you gain experience, you put in 5 years, submit some papers. UGC has defined these things. But that is one part. The other part is your own journey. I said that I showed it to you. Internal disruptions. Your personal disruption is very important. Unless your personal disruption inside you happens, institution growth is not guaranteed. Each one of the faculty member should undergo or plan to undergo a personal disruption, individual disruptions. So a teacher, now in Sanskrit, there are many words for a teacher. From here, I think most of you have seen this slide. I don't want to read it. A teacher who gives you information is called Adhyapak. And the one who is able to awaken wisdom in you, leading you from darkness to light, is called a guru. So the journey in between, you see. This is a disruptive journey. Very difficult to say when you become a Adhyapak and Upadhyay or Acharya. This is for you to define within. So have a look at this slide. And plan for yourself. And this is again, put it in a different form, a teacher and a guru. What is the role of a teacher? What is the role of a guru? One or two examples I just read for you. A teacher reaches your mind. A guru touches your spirit. A teacher takes responsibility for your growth. A guru makes you responsible for your growth. See, this is what that finer difference is between a teacher and a guru. Your institution has to finally send your students in such a way that some components of teaching is part of his learning and some components of a guru's wisdom is also part of his learning. And this is a great challenge. I'm telling you, showing this slide, you cannot do anything. It needs a lot of internal work. Lot of internal work. And right now, we are shaken from our comfort zone. Pandemic has shaken us from our comfort zone. We are somewhere in between, partly comfort zone and partly fear zone. Now we have to move into learning zone and growth zone. And what all has been mentioned in this slide may need some other changes, but I have not tried to put it because I am not very sure of it myself. So this has to be defined by yourself. And now let me come to IQAC. See, I spoke to you about I till now, except for the beginning of my presentation, I did not touch the topic of IQAC. In fact, I did not mention the word IQAC in my presentation. Initially, I did mention, Afterwards, till this slide, I have not mentioned about IQAC. What is that? The IQAC has been conceived long back by NAC also, that it's an internal quality assurance cell. Means this will look after the continuous process of improvement of quality in the system. Continuous process improvement in the system. And in fact, NAC has given you what is the role of IQAC, etc. And also he said it has also given you some directions on what should be the composition, IQAC, etc. But now I want you to disrupt this idea. And you have to understand what all I mentioned earlier. The changes you need to do. The IQAC as a body should look into all aspects, all these aspects, and get into a continuous change in the system. Adopt a pattern for continuous, a system which changes continuously, looking at the environmental changes that's going to happen, and which is anyway going to happen rapidly. So IQAC should have the support of the management. Without the management supporting the IQAC, the functioning of IQAC will not be substantial, and it may not even be useful at many times. But you understand, IQAC is not a parallel power body. It is not director, principal, IQAC head. These are all not three separate power bodies. So please don't take IQAC as a power body. It has a well-defined function, but it has to work in a framework where the decisions of an IQAC may not be accepted at one point in time by the management, but doesn't in itself make the IQAC redundant. Can you understand this? It shouldn't make the IQAC in itself redundant. Okay, I have heard about it. IQAC made so many recommendations, sir, that the management did not agree. What is the point in having an IQAC? No, it is not. There sometimes at some point in time a decision may not be favorable because it may not be suitable for the institution. The management to bring in that change, because the management has some other parameters they have to look at. If some change needs financial requirements or inputs, the management may not be able to get that input at that point in time. So it becomes, so they may have to push it forward. So that doesn't mean the role of IQAC is redundant or it's not useful, etc. IQAC will be the defining element of the change that is going to happen in the institution. You may call it by some other name. In fact, you already have a director, and I don't know, since 3-4 years it could be functioning. So please see that you keep your IQAC in a constant mode of what I call disruption. A constant mode of disruption. You shouldn't settle into anything. You shouldn't settle your IQAC into anything. It is settled. No, it shouldn't be in a settled phase. This is the dynamic part of the, or always on the move, dynamic part of the organization. Some of the roles, possible roles of IQAC are just put it here. One is map your capabilities. Internally, your institution has internal institutions, many of faculty members, your non-teaching staff, etc. They all have some capabilities or the others. They're strong in some area. They may not be strong in some other area. But have you mapped your capabilities? Have you mapped? Some may be a good singer, some may be good in software, but he may not be a professor in computer science, but he may be a professor in arts. Anyway, your college doesn't have it, but doesn't matter. So map your capability. There are many ways. Map your capability, internal capability. See that all your faculty and non-teaching staff, do they have capacities? What are that? You identify their potentials, their potential talents. Then identify sphere of influence. Your institution will have a sphere of influence in Visakhapatnam and outside. Your alumni, your former faculty members, your management, they all have some sphere of influence in Visakhapatnam or even outside or even Andhra Pradesh. But are you able to tap those influences in a favorable manner? There could be a management person, somebody could be running a good industry in Visakhapatnam. You can ask him to come and share his experiences with you, with your students. That itself will be utilizing your sphere of influence. See, otherwise you need not pay. Maybe he can do it because he is member of your governing board, etc. Or some influential businessman. He can talk about how he started his business. See, it is not easy to call somebody from Infosys or something, and it's not easy to relate to that also. For a student, if somebody you call from a very big industry, he may not be able to relate. But if you call somebody to relate to a small, maybe establishment in Visakhapatnam, which has been very successful, a good engineering workshop, which has done well. Then you can really look at developing entrepreneurs. So identify sphere of influence. Sphere of influence is how to utilize the human capital or other capitals because of the influence you have in the system. Identify your training needs. Many of you, each one of us may have different training needs. Identify that, teach among yourselves, and also get outside help. Challenge your beliefs, very important. You have to challenge your beliefs. If you don't do this, it's very difficult. You have to understand things are going to change. I have to challenge my beliefs. You believe it is not going to happen. Challenge that belief. Rework on your hierarchy. I'm talking this under IQAC, please discuss these things. These are all basics. Rework your hierarchy. Because the situation has changed, the technology has changed. Your student could be better than you in many aspects. The use of technology, your students could be better. You could have seen it, your daughters and sons, very, very comfortable in an iPad or even in a smartphone. Whereas we as elders really suffer. We may know the concept, but we may not know how to use it, how to put it into work. So rework your hierarchy in your IQAC. Allow yourself to be foolish. Foolish in the sense, I don't talk about madness, etc. Foolish here is you have to think out of the box and make some suggestions which at one point in time may look foolish. So allow that freedom of expression to your faculty members. Don't snub anybody in that way. Say, I could give you an example. You could know about this lift. No? In a hotel in US, there was the lift got into trouble. It stopped working. So there was a discussion going on how to rectify the lift. So a discussion was going on among engineers, etc. At the same time, some janitor was cleaning that area. So the engineers and others were discussing, and they were deciding that, we have to close this hotel for a few days a month or something to rectify this lift because it needs to be realigned and reworked, etc. But the janitor who was listening suddenly said, why should a lift be inside the building? Why don't you put it outside? And that made the engineers and others realize, yes, that's a new idea. Why don't we do it? And that's how you could have seen in some hotels, etc., where the lift move outside. Lift moves on the outside periphery of the hotel or the building, outer periphery of the building, not inside. So the idea came from a janitor. So ideas can come from anywhere. So challenge, allow yourself to be accepted that ideas come from anybody and allow them to express. You may not like it, is okay. You may not accept it, is also okay. But allow it to be expressed. Generally, I have seen we don't allow ideas to be expressed at all. In our meetings, we become so rigid in our thoughts. And particularly this is important to the leadership of the institution to allow a kind of expression of thought in meetings. Don't be very rigid on that. Accept failures, very important, because most of us don't like to change because we are afraid of failures. You say unless it is mala fide, a failure is acceptable in an institution. It's very important. Then fix timelines, short term, long term, have fixed timelines. Don't overrun it. Fixed timelines are important. Draw from other institutions' experiences. In fact, we work on silos. That's what even NEP says. We work on silos. We have to draw from others' experiences. You have come from other institutions. You go to other institutions. Bring that ideas. And in fact, NAC also publishes best practice series and all that. You can download them, use it, and see whether that helps. Or you can go on a tour, visit some A-grade institutions, A-grade engineering colleges in your state or even outside, and try to draw their experiences. In fact, now UGC is promoting the concept of collaborations. Collaborate with others. It's not just sharing experiences. You can take it to a next level of collaborating. Share and learn. I said remodel your library, very important. Library should do a lot more than what it is doing. It is not a building where students sit for examinations. You have to remodel your library. Redefine your roles, very important. Discuss inequalities in the system. There's a lot of inequalities in your institutions. Identify student inequalities, faculty level inequalities, other inequalities. Discuss inequalities. You cannot make it zero, but you can try to minimize it. So yeah, unless you discuss it, you will not be able to minimize it. Discuss inequalities. Maybe some people may coming from background which is poor, etc., etc. I don't want to give example, and I know I'm very sure you understand what I mean. Develop a sense of humor, very important. Don't be, see, they say that unless there's a sense of humor, your mind doesn't work well. Sense of humor is very important. Please develop that in the institution. Aim for happiness. There, in fact, Bhutan says their biggest aim is to be a happy country. Nothing more than that. And happiness is important. A happy institution will do well. I quote this in many institutions because it's a very important issue. If somebody comes every morning to the office with the idea that, oh God, when will it be 5:30 or something, you will never be able to contribute maximum to the efficiency. It is going to be teamwork. It has to be teamwork because things have changed so rapidly. Teamwork becomes very important. One or two examples of what are the aspects you can discuss in your IQAC. You can talk about unitization of syllabus. It's just about on a teaching learning process. I just taken one slide. Unit 1, say 2-4 sessions. Teacher to take the first session to give a survey of literature, development of body of knowledge, expected learning objectives. You have to tell them. You have to be very clear on the learning objectives of that unit. Leave the students to learn, give them relevant. And unless all students pass it, do not proceed to the next unit. This can be planned. In IQAC, you can plan this. Discuss this issue. Change your ideas. It is what each faculty member has to do it on his own. Finally has to do it on his own. But IQAC can be a platform for discussing this. Unitization, I've just taken one example. Then student-centric pedagogy. Examples I've taken on what I put, many of it you are aware of. We can talk in detail on these things. Maybe you can have some experts to talk in detail on this. I've just put this as an example because I don't want to take problem-based learning, resource-based learning, works-based learning, skill-based learning, peer tutoring, mentoring, team group learning, etc. There are overlaps in this. It is not something very rigid. There are overlaps on all this which I have said. But try to do it. Try to do it. Whichever is possible, try to include in your teaching learning process. That's important. And it will also be the responsibility, large responsibility for the IQAC to prepare your SSR for NAC. So you now itself start working parallelly on this. I request you, all of you, since you are an autonomous institution, download the autonomous manual from the NAC website, and each of you go through that and understand what is the requirement of NAC. Please do that before, if we can, we have a session later, another session on approach to NAC accreditation. But before that, you kindly download the manual from the website, and each one of you go through it from top to bottom. Because you need, for sometimes you need data for 1 year. If for some questions you need, some metrics you need data for 5 years. So if there is no data available for 5 years, at least data available for future 1 year you should collect now itself. So kindly go through that. That will be part of an IQAC functioning, because accreditation has to be monitored, or this is a platform which can really work on accreditation also. Whether you do NAC accreditation or NBA accreditation, it's all basically data oriented. Data evidence, data evidence, data evidence. So keep understanding the data requirement and the evidence requirement. So plan it, don't leave it to the last moment. And this is another example of a library. In Denmark, there are libraries where you can borrow a person instead of a book to listen to their life story for 30 minutes. The goal is to fight prejudice. Each person has a title like unemployed, refugee, bipolar. But listening to their stories, you realize how much you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. An innovative and brilliant active project that exists in 50 countries. An initiative from the Human Library. Please do it, if you are not already doing it. This is a good example. Good change that a library can do. So your students start learning, you add value to him. If he talks to an unemployed person, he talks to a refugee, he talks to a woman entrepreneur. So these are all, or even just married girl, woman. So many, you learn a lot, you can learn a lot. Maybe somebody from Northeast. So these are all things which you can, this doesn't need a lot of money. It needs some innovation in your practices. If you're doing it, fine. If you're not doing it, try to do it. And see, in conclude, it's not the biggest or the most reputed institutions who will weather this storm the best. It will be the ones who best manage this change. Do you hope to achieve it? It is left to you. You have to figure it out yourself. You may have my presentation 10 times. You might get somebody better than me whom there are many available like that. But it has to come from you, from inside you. I can give you a presentation. I can tell you what to do. You have to do it. Even in case of NAC, there are hundreds of agencies will tell you ye kar denge, wo kar denge, and all that. But data comes from your university, your college only. Nobody can create your data. If somebody creates your data, it is most likely to be false data, and you may end up in trouble. So nobody can create data, can collect data for you. You have to collect it yourself, because you know where the data are. You cannot appoint me and say collect data. First of all, I have to understand where data is there in your system. So understand that it is you who have to do it. That is the way it is. And I think, thank you very much. With this, I stop my presentation. I think possibly another 5 minutes is there. If any of you, I'll stop sharing my presentation. Any questions or anything like that, I requested by the organizers. I will be happy to share my views on your questions. Thank you very much.
Rose sir. Rose sir, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
It
you
was
are
a nice
audible, sir.
presentation, Professor. Here, I would like to have give one more input, a kind of things which I have personally experienced in my earlier institution. The story what you are told for lift. In my earlier institutions, the management wanted to construct a cafeteria within the campus. Unfortunately, the approach road to the canteen was not that much massive to admit a procliner or a huge braking equipment. They had a very huge challenge because in that cafeteria premises, they had a very big stone. I can say it's a kind of a small rock on the ground. But that rock was a very hurdle for the people to construct a pillarless kind of a infrastructure in that particular area. And as you rightly pointed out, all top-notch people are discussing how to we will remove the shutter and so many things. Listening all these discussions, the gardener came with one fantastic idea. We were really surprised. The management also opened a call to all the faculty to have a kind of idea to break this kind of thing. They called all civil people, but gardener gave a very fantastic idea. So instead of removing that particular small rock or a stone, wouldn't you bring a hammer and a breaker, a handmade breaker, to break it and bury in that particular place and make the level ground flat? We are really astonished and we are very much thrilled to have such idea, the out of box thinking. That is what I'm trying to tell. So the that is what the skill matters a lot nowadays rather than the knowledge and other things. So that is the point I would like to add. And now I ask the members if you have any clarification to post, queries to post to the expert Dr. B.S. Madhukar. I think participants are very much appreciated to post their queries. Please feel free. It's like our own family member. You can post any queries. You'll be very happy to answer. Don't hesitate.
See, I want to add one thing for what Professor said. Don't worry, there's nothing like a right or wrong question or anything like that. Each one of us in our lives have asked questions which we later could have felt that it is not relevant anything. Don't worry about those kind of issues, whether there's a right question, whether there's a wrong question. Every question has its own importance. So you feel free, and if you have any questions, you can ask, or if you don't have, or you want to share something also is okay. But it's not necessary that language, that something wisdom flows from one side to the other. It can flow from the other side also. So in case you have to, even if you want to share something, you want to critique something also, you are free to do it. And you can also give a feedback on the presentation, what you liked about it, what you did not like about it. It's not that everything will be liked.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Come on, Narayan sir, please come forward. Madhukar sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, here is a question from our IQAC coordinator.
Yes, sir.
So Narayan sir, please come forward.
Thank you very much for giving a clear idea about the roles and responsibilities of IQAC and what important should be given to IQAC. I have two doubts, sir. The first doubt is, so we have got accreditation in 2017. Already we have submitted AQRs for the years 2018, 19, 19, 20, and 2020 is also registered. Now we got autonomous only in the year 2020. Again, by November, December of this year, we have to file application for next round. So whether we have to follow the application of autonomous colleges or affiliate colleges.
Sir, you have to follow for autonomous colleges since you are autonomous college. In case of autonomous college, sir, please note this point. If you are an autonomous college, I don't know when you become autonomous. if you have become autonomous recently, you will get about 5.5 years from the day you became autonomous for the next accreditation. So kindly look at this point. 5.5 years, you will get 5.5 years benefit. After 5.5 years from the day you became autonomous, you have to go for accreditation.
Thank you,
Please
sir.
keep this in mind.
Actually, Professor, we are in the transition stage. We are in the changeover period. As of now, we are entering into the second spell of, not the second year of autonomy. As of now, we have not experienced any kind of assessment purely related to the autonomy governance.
So that's why I said, for you, now you are in the second year, na? So you will get not next year. After 5.5 years, if for autonomy, you can go for accreditation again, NAC accreditation.
But now that what you call this accreditation period is going to be lapse in next September, sir.
No. That's why I said, since you are you got your autonomy just 2 years back, you will get some relief. You can continue with your accreditation and you will get relief. Maybe I will try to send that, whether that circular is with me, I will try to send it to your director so that you can look at it. So now next year you need not go. You can go after another 3 years, but you have to write to NAC and get a confirmation.
Clarity, right, sir.
So you will get more time since you are still not fully conversant with your autonomous issues and you are trying to make it work well, etc. You can do it, but discuss in deep in your IQACs on all the new changes you are going to bring in.
And another point, Professor, since we are in the second year of autonomy, I think the due is also going to be in the next year. We can go in the non-autonomous mode since the assessment is not being completed as of now with related to the autonomy. Later on, once the one batch has moved out, I think the 4 years or whatever, the 5.5 years the tenure will be over, then we can go under autonomy now, Professor.
Sir, if you are an autonomous institution as on the date of application, they will not allow you to go on affiliation.
Non-autonomous.
No, non-autonomous, they are not allowing it. But you can seek another clarification, but to the best of my knowledge, it is not allowed.
Okay.
Okay,
Maybe
sir,
you can go for NBA accreditation.
We'll write, sir, not an issue.
You write, but from as of my understanding, in fact, another institution also had this problem. So they got that extension for 5.5 years. But you will have your validity. The accreditation will be valid. Your A grade will be valid. That is the important point I'm trying to make. My suggestion
Yes, sir, they need to maintain the...
My suggestion is you do some good academic audits every year. If you don't want to do a NAC accreditation, do some very good academic audit every year so that you continuously improve. That will be a challenge.
Yes, sir. Yes, Professor.
Yeah, but this has to be thought about from your end, sir. This is my suggestions.
Yes. Any other members, please? At least 2 to 3 questions we can take up. Please come up.
Sir, I have a question, of course, maybe related to this. Madhukar sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, you have enlightened the skill sets of students is one way, and related to teachers also, you have highlighted starting from Adhyapak to Guru also. Then what about rest of the stakeholders in this scenario, sir?
What, sir?
Rest of the stakeholders.
Sir, rest of the stakeholders, that's why I said when I showed the invitation, I said your sphere of influence you use, they are your stakeholders, your parents, faculty members, their families. See, you can bring them and let them share. See, it is how best you use. See, everything doesn't need money. You have to be very understanding on this. You can do so many things without money. Without money in the sense, you pay some taxi fare, something 200 rupees, and you may get a good lecture. That's why I said human library.
Yes.
See, these are all value additions which you can do very easily.
Yes, sir.
Somebody comes to Visakhapatnam, you know about him. You just ask him to spend 2 hours, he will spend and go.
Yes.
But for that, you need to keep track. track of what is happening, who is coming where, collaboration between another college. If some professor is coming for a lecture in one college, you can pull him for a small lecture with you,
Yes,
so
sir.
that you can avoid something. So
Oh.
these are all different ways of doing it. And since you have this now Zoom platform and all that,
Hmm.
everything cannot be done without face to face. One day we have to go face to face. So somebody can be got without face to face also. Like now I'm talking to you from Bangalore. You may
Yes,
get
sir.
somebody talking to you from some other part of the world. So
Yes,
try
sir.
to keep innovating within your frame of reference.
Sir, as per the title of my faculty, as I'm a principal, I am speaking to you. Hope as per the title of the webinar, IQAC functioning. Hope my faculty might have been thinking of IQAC functioning means today Madhukar sir will speak about what are the various stages of functioning of IQAC cell and all other things. Right.
One thing I want to avoid is being prescriptive.
Yes, sir.
I don't want to give you a prescription.
Right.
I'm very clear on that, because that is why I did not put the next slides for you.
Right, sir.
Okay, composition, principal head, somebody member,
Right,
you
sir.
refer to that. But I am the person who don't believe in giving prescriptions. You follow the norms, but keep innovating, sir. You do it. You can make me member of your IQAC, whatever. Then I can give my suggestions in that. But I will not give a prescription to you. Do
Right,
it
sir.
like this, I will not say.
Thank you, sir.
That kills innovation. Because you know your institution 100 times better than me.
Definitely.
I can give you some suggestions, but it is you who has to take that call.
Sir, any other questions from faculty, please?
So good evening, sir. Myself, I am Srinivasrao from Department of ECE.
Please welcome, sir.
A very good session has been conducted by the part of IQAC. So here I have one question that you have given some responsibilities of teacher and guru, and in our engineering teaching, we have to act as a teacher or guru. Is what my question, sir.
See, sir, the teacher and a guru, that's your journey. That's what I said. It is your internal journey over a period of time. If you can see, it is not an exclusive issue. When you are a teacher and a guru, when you become a guru, it doesn't automatically mean that you exclude yourself as a teacher. It is not an exclusive issue. You will remain a teacher, but the way you say things,
yes,
you will make the student realize something beyond just telling him something. It is not an exclusive item. Guru doesn't mean you are not a teacher. You become guru, it doesn't mean you are not a teacher. Guru is a mature teacher, a teacher with higher wisdom, a teacher with better understanding. It is like that. It is an experience you learn in after many years, the first day when you enter a college or start teaching, you may find it even difficult to express. But after 2 years, you learn. You also understand what makes a student react, what makes a student boring, which student, and individually you start recognizing. My mother was a teacher. So she used to say, what is the biggest thing about teaching? The biggest thing about teaching is, it's not about the subject enough. The biggest thing about teaching is the understanding of your student. You have to understand your student. Maybe in mass education processes it may be difficult, but at least you will try to understand the students. Then only you can teach. See, a PhD from Wharton School or anything may not mean anything to a student as long as it doesn't add any value to him. I may be a Oxford PhD or even Madhukar PhD from some university in India. But if I don't add a value to that person or that student, what is the use of my PhD to that person? It may help me in my career, etc. But how does it help him? So it is not my qualification that is important. It may be important for my career. But for the student, what is the value you add to him is important. So I have to look that Guru, that Adhyapak Guru slide is like that. It's a continuum.
I think in my transformation, I will become first I will be a teacher and then I will transform.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you don't become it. You will exclude yourself as a teacher. It is not like that.
Yes.
And one more point, Professor, I would like to add kind of a response to our principal, Dr. Gadar Baba. You told some kind of prescription that I would like to add few more points to that particular query. I think it's for all. Many people, if you talk about IQAC, 99% of the institutions will look IQAC only from the perspective of academics, nothing beyond that. And little bit they will cross and they will speak about the documentation. But the IQAC, the responsibility not only lies with the academics, it talks about the quality process in the four walls of the institute. It may be of anything. I think Dr. Madhukar has put the first point to tap the competency of all the staff members. It may be of a teacher or it may be of a non-teaching personality, maybe anything. So the final objective of IQAC is to maintain the qualitative aspect in all dimensions, whatever we do in the four walls of an institutional, particularly higher education system. Not only higher education, it may be of anything. So it is a kind of a journey of excellence towards quality. Whatever we do it sincerely with the focus on quality. Even if you want to put a dot to a paper, do it with passion so that the quality will be in place and it will be a kind of a system-driven process over a period of time. And if you create a quality ecosystem, understand the word, it is not doing today and not doing tomorrow, day after doing something. And it is not like a kind of a non-consistent kind of things. Quality should be the DNA of any academic institution. We should drive us towards the excellence and mission. That is my perspective to all the members. I think Dr. Madhukar and Dr. Baba can comment on that if you have any other views on this statement.
See, it was a very well-made statement. It was very aptly said. See, the issue now, even the thinking internationally about it is that quality improvement is an internal process. It is not an external process. In fact, in Europe, there's a belief that they started at the wrong end. That external accreditation, they shouldn't have started first. It was the internalization of quality, the internal process that is important. So that is the thinking that's coming. It is the internal process that is important, not the external process. I think I used this word once in the beginning. We are all used to top-down approach. Let me tell you very clearly, we are all used to top-down approach. The moment I ask something, when I go to an institution, sir, university doesn't allow, UGC doesn't allow, or falana doesn't allow. Anyway, is that what happens? What is allowed, what is not allowed is okay. But to that you will join what is allowed also. And your not allowed becomes too big. Even though they don't really mean that. See, if you want to innovate in your class, who will stop you? Will anybody stop you? If you want to take some students, give them extra guidance, who will stop you? Nobody may stop you. But the UGC may not insist that you should give extra guidance to a student. UGC may not say 4 weeks is what they could have given as a timetable minimum, but they don't say 4.5 hours you shouldn't do. There's no bar. So top-down approach, please avoid. Bottom-up approach. You have to meet. So take bottom-up approach as the new normal. Like we say, no? After this pandemic, the new normal will be there. Bottom-up approach will be the new normal.
Now already we are in a new normal process. Already we have the last 1 year new normal only we are.
So we have to, that will be the new normal. So because the institution has to be prepared for the change, because you don't know what is the change. You'll be prepared to otherwise another 5 years, 10 years, no student will come to your institution. So it is going to be a big challenge, and it's going to happen faster than we thought it is going to be. Okay, sir, if any other question or?
Baba sir, you are on mute, sir. Pro sir, you are on mute.
Sir, one question is there in chat, I think.
Yes, sir.
This is from Shiva Suresh G. Had posed a question, sir, how can we balance our life being a teacher?
A very good question, because people believe, general belief is the teacher's life is a very comfortable life. That's the general belief. If you ask a corporate employee or a software engineer or somebody, they say our job is so tense, so much of tension is there in our job with all our deadlines, etc., etc. It is very tough. But I do agree. I am not trying to make it light or anything like that. See, that is the challenge, sir. How do you manage your time is a challenge.
Yes,
I also believe one thing, like accreditation, you make systems, like you introduce an MIS system in your institution, if it is not already there. If it is there, good. See, now I give an example of NAAC for this whole thing. See, if for NAAC exercise, I told you, it is a data rigorous exercise. Now, in the last 3 months of the submission of the, say, SSR, you start working on it, the job becomes rigorous. You may not be able to go home, at least if not say 6 o'clock, at least 9 o'clock. Every day will be torturous because you have to collect data, collate data. But if you had done it from the beginning, see, now you went to a seminar, you immediately uploaded it in the system. I went to this and this seminar, and this is the certificate I received. You uploaded into your system. Then in the last, you don't have to run around. So the best thing, balancing of life, is about planning of life. How well you plan it as an individual and collectively as an institution. See, it is very important. As an institution also, that's why I said happiness is important. When I said be happy, it was not just like that. This is an aspect that was for that. Be happy. And happy institution, how do you become a happy institution? When you plan your activities well. See, if somebody is not able to do something, see, I went to one university somewhere, and the head of the institution and somebody is discussing, and it's a big file, some complaint about some fellow. They are discussing that. Finally, what happened? See, it was a non-issue. That fellow wanted some transfer to some other phase, etc. A file of about 40 pages has been built. You are wasting your time on a small issue. I'm not saying it is about indiscipline. You shouldn't control indiscipline. But the proportion of time you are going to give to that kind of a work is important. See, in every out also, it is better. So someone may not be able to be corrected if is some nearing retirement. I don't mean everybody is like that. Nearing retirement, or somebody has some mindset. Don't try to put your energy in correcting that. It may not be worthwhile. But at that same time, you don't allow that everybody becomes like that. It's a very tricky decision to make. So you will understand that when you are handling it, you will understand. So these are the balances you need to do so that your life balance is there in the, finally your life balance is important. I have no second opinion on that.
Thank you, Professor. Sir, Baba sir, I think with this we can conclude, sir.
Yes, sir.
Probably based on his availability, we can invite Dr. Madhukar sir in the next week for one more session, sir. I'll speak to him tomorrow, sir. Madhukar sir, today I have a couple of meetings ahead back to back. Tomorrow morning we'll get back to you, Professor.
Yeah, sure. Take your time, no worry.
Baba sir, I think you can conclude,
Yes,
Professor.
sir. Yes, sir. It's my privilege to say this concluding remarks here, and to the management, the NSRIT, and our today's resource person, Dr. B.S. Madhukar, and our director, Professor Raja Murugadas, and Dr. Surya Narayana, who is the IQAC coordinator, and Dr. Naveen, who is the officer in charge for Center of Academic Excellence, heads of the department, faculty of NSRIT. Good evening, one and all. Really, today's session on functioning of IQAC, where it has been started with skill sets, and not only skill sets, our resource person, Dr. Madhukar sir, has cited many examples, starting from skill set and then innovative, fast and disrupt yourself, all these things where he has started with this, then changing of the context where from pandemic to gig economy and all this, and he has come across this Honduras bridge, where all these parameters which are all being shown that how you are going to be well advanced in learned condition that is required. And he has given one more point, like now today's scenario as OCA. OCA also, the one more phrase has been used by our professor. And not only that, what we are to be in future from today onwards, and for that he has cited the example of UN 2030. So now, these are all the points, whatever Dr. Madhukar sir has cited, to just come out of this IQAC. That means, of course, accreditation and assessment. That is the measure point. But before to that, IQAC, internal quality and assurance. So now, internal quality and assurance of a faculty, of a department, or of a institute, or of any stakeholder, how it needs to be established from the bottom level. This has been cited very neatly by our renowned professor, Dr. B.S. Madhukar sir. Sir, on behalf of our management and our faculty and our director, and we are all thankful to you for being with us for this session, and where you have presented what is the importance of IQAC functioning, where it is nothing but internal quality assessment. For that, I am thankful to you, sir. And next, I would like to thank our Raja Murugadas sir, who has arranged a very nice person on today's platform to interact with us on this particular IQAC functioning. And then I would like to thank all our IQAC director as well as the Center of Academic Excellence in charge, and all our faculty who have spent their time here to listen something which is valuable from our Madhukar sir. And it's finally, again, I would like to thank our Madhukar sir, who has spent his valuable time with us on this today's evening. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Madhukar sir, thank you, sir. Tomorrow morning I'll get back to you, sir.
Right, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Baba sir. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you all, sir.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Naveen.
Thank you, Naveen. Surya Narayana sir, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
sir.
Surya Narayana, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.